Suggestion: if you're highly sensitive, save yourself from potential dissociation and treat this video like a meditation. Simply observe it. Don't grip or it'll lose its effect. If you're currently cherishing any delicate ideas, you may want to preserve them while watching this because I don't want to accidentally kill them. I respect all ideas, and I know that individuality comes in many different flavors. Each one deserves its own bucket and scooper. Mix too many together and you might get a trash flavor, or a really epic one. Who knows? I suppose you can't really know until you let it happen. Right now, I am giving myself honey-basted permission to throw mine across the floor. I'm going to speak in terms of my truth, and you can either agree and dance with me there, or you can disagree and let disharmony ring in your ears for as long as you'd like. Here I go. Nothing is simple. Nothing is simple here. Simplicity wouldn't be a thing if it weren't for complexity. Never take the sticky, gross viscera of complexity for granted. It's the flesh and blood and bone that coagulates and forms a single-pointed baseline through which your concept of you can express itself and fuck and eat and laugh and cry and dance around. It's your grandmother's womb. It's your asshole sphincter. You'd be shitting yourself uncontrollably all the time if it weren't for your human viscera. And sometimes you might be shitting yourself uncontrollably. Your human viscera is to thank for that too. Your human viscera is what made your last orgasm so goddamn divine. Your human viscera is what carried you and will continue to carry you through the death and loss of the things which you cherished most deeply. Your human viscera is what makes you feel so damn relieved after your morning shit. Your human viscera is what craves and attains and satiates your deep and carnal desires. It's the part of you that wanted, attained, and then relished in the memory of the best sex you've ever had. Your human viscera is also the part of you that is careless and devoid of fucks to give. Your human viscera is the part of you that hates. Your human viscera is the part of you that hurts. It's not simple, it's complicated and multifaceted. If you can't hold any single part of it, your capacity to experience it in its totality will be compromised. My human viscera hates the world because it hurt me and denied me of my fullest expression so many times. It censored my grief and told me to lock myself in my room for crying. I got sick of this after a few years, and so I came up with a way to come to terms with my humanity, and that is letting my motherfucking self be human. Let your motherfucking self be human. To hell with what people around you think. To hell with that. Be feral. Be feral. Go out into the wild and scream and dance and tear shit up. Shred some trees. Be volatile. Kill, eat, fuck. Be human. Let yourself wreathe in your own stink. You are disgusting. You are absolutely putrid. So am I. We all are. We are horrifying. We're scary. To be divinely embodied is to be totally human. Full spectrum madness blaring everywhere all at once, unconfined and yet balanced by the laws of nature. We make no sense. Are you gripping? Are you tempted to counter my points and convince me to view my complicated existence through a lens of simplicity? I don't want to do that. How deeply in acceptance are you of your own viscera? How content with the absolute mess of your own humanity are you? Do you still feel the need to argue and defend yourself? Are you afraid to fully greet your feral nature? Do you know what happens when you die? You rot. You blow up, and some nasty, funky, shitty liquid spills out from all your orifices. Fungus and small insects and sharp-beaked birds and carnal animals will gather around the carcass of what you used to label with countless formless identities and slap clothing and shoes and a smile onto and lay down covered in a spider-spun silk gown on a mattress at night and then stand up in the morning to consume a scalding cup of hot Amazonian bean juice. Your flesh and blood and musculature and bones will all rot and sink into the womb of the dark earth, and plants and animals will devour this carcass for food. Your body will rot in a pleasure-fulfillment servitude quest to the intrinsic narcissism of nature. You are narcissistic. I am narcissistic. Nature is narcissistic. It takes such deep pleasure in itself that it perpetually consumes itself, and it does so for itself, and it relishes in its own perpetual stench, and it grows and thrives off of its own fruits and grasses and muscle fibers and sunshine and water, sustained by an endless samsaric hell hunger. Best learn to love and accept yourself throughout the process of being human, because you can't always rely on others to do so. People will tear you down. They'll yell at you while you patiently wait for traffic to pass before driving across the street, demanding you to quote-unquote learn to drive. They'll hold your actions under a microscope and criticize everything you do, drip-feeding you appreciation only when it's convenient for them, maybe a few times a year. They'll lock you into institutions and they'll feed you garbage and chemicals in the elusive forms of dinners and pills. They'll take advantage of your generosity. They'll project every lingering attachment to their unmet needs, hopes, and desires onto your unsuspecting light beam of a spirit. They'll punch you in the stomach just because you innocently stretched your arms above your head. They'll walk into your home and destroy your handmade sculptures. They'll hold your ass under the torch flames of their insanity just for deep and psychologically twisted fun. They'll scald you over the crown of dignity that sits atop your head using the fiery laser flame beams of their own intrusive judgment and misplaced desire, which they'll then concentrate through their microscopic lens view of your measly humanity. And it will burn, and you will scald, and burning flesh stinks. People will actively hate you and put you down and make no space for you. People will actively project their insecurities onto you. People will actively deny your reality over and over and over and over and over. They will always make a point to be more important than you in every way. And at some point, the frustration and pain you feel when people abuse you might blow over and spill out the top of your head and make a foamy mess all over the place. That is, if you haven't yet figured out a way to concentrate that type of energy in a productive way that doesn't make quite the same type of mess. Unless you know how, you can't really cap that shit up because it'll stay inside of you and it needs to run out sooner or later. To hell with the idea of being simple. I'm not simple. I'm complicated and messy. I'm unpredictable. I am uncomfortable and I make others uncomfortable. I am disheveled. I am a mess. I am angry. And I'm human. I'm burning. I'm simmering. I'm icy cold. I'm steamy. I'm water vapor, and I'll rise right over the top of your head and fog up your glasses' lenses. Fuck this idea of being simple. To the flames of hell with this attachment to being simple. To the flames of hell with any attachment to being any particular way. We are everything all at once, and we should stop trying so hard to be anything but what we are. I'm tired of that. Right now I'm complicated. Right now I'm irrational. Right now I'm wild and socially unacceptable and offensive. Right now I don't care. It becomes way more simple. It becomes simpler because you'll finally be able to see what's been inside that entire time, and it might even start to make sense as you're able to piece together concepts to weave your experience. Clarity and ease will dawn, integration will happen. Colors, smells, textures, memories. These are all threads which are abundantly available for us to weave together in creative pursuit of the art of aliveness. Once the truth of internalized abuse spills over to be seen by yourself and by the world exactly as it is, then simplicity dawns. It becomes what it becomes, and it is what it is. The acknowledgement of the light of experiential and embodied awareness, even when cast over the most dense and gross aspects of the collective human viscera, can really be applied as a healing salve. Sometimes we can't be simple. Sometimes simple is the last thing we need to be thinking about. Sometimes we just need to be human. Sometimes we need to melt into being, and the only way to do so is through being uncomfortable, feeling pain, and expressing difficult emotions. Sometimes we need to give ourselves permission to feel nasty until feeling nasty is drawn and stretched out to its furthest reaching edge and then dissolves into the atmosphere, just like the way a spider web fizzles out and melts away into the air when it's stretched beyond its capacity. And if I may say one more thing, it will be this. Please be kind to yourself. Be kind to the world. Remember that everyone is hurting. Remember that every facet of our humanity, until brought back into the homes of our hearts and bodies and souls through the integration of them from under the catalyzing luminosity lights of compassion, will appear to remain separate. Let's round ourselves up and walk on home together. You're allowed to be and feel any and every way. Even if I can't show you love enough to convince you that you are worth being unconditionally loved, hopefully you will feel touched in those dark places when you need it most. Hopefully you receive kindness today. Hopefully you can feel love in the wisp of a breeze, or the kiss of Mr. Sun, or the sight of the landing of a dragonfly atop a tuft of beach grass. I love you. More importantly, love is yours.